Woo! What's going on, guys? Orange Forum coming at you. Late video again. This is the preview for Week 6. We don't play till 8:20, so we can get away with getting this video right now. This is a Week 6 video, though. Preview. Lions at Chiefs. Detroit Lions at Kansas City Chiefs. Going to Arrowhead. Lions coming in at 4-1. First place in the NFC North. And the Chiefs 2-3. I haven't said that in a long time. Third place in the AFC West. Chiefs are favored this game, 2.5. I think last time I saw the money line, or favored, not money line, but the spread, 2.5 points for the Kansas City Chiefs. Do what you will with that. But the Lions are going to Arrowhead, face a cornered, a cornered kind of desperate Kansas City Chiefs team. Chiefs having some issues right now, but still a very dangerous football team with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, got some weapons over there, some good defensive players. So this is a must game for them, I would think. There's not a lot of games in the NFL. There's only 17 of them, so I think every game's a must win, but this is extremely important, and we'll kind of talk about that too as well. Let's get to the injuries right away. Detroit Lions first, they're the road team. So that's what we do here. The Lions have a list of injuries again. Just a ton of injuries again. This time it's the secondary. But let's go over it right now, and we'll talk about the injuries as we go. Cornerback Terry Arnold with a shoulder. He did not practice on Friday. They have not put him on IR yet. If they will, I don't know if they're going to. I don't think they did, but he is out for this football game. Did not practice. No practice Friday, so that's what we look at. Linebacker Zach Cunningham out again. Third game in a row, I believe. Hamstring. No practice for him on Friday. He is out. Defensive tackle Lee McNeil. Knee injury. He was a full practice on Friday. Still labeling the big fella out. He's not playing this football game. I thought maybe they could have really used his inside presence on this game, but they still have basically a week and a half to activate him. If not, he's going on IR and done for the year. Won't be able to come back at all. But they still have lots of time. We got a bye coming up, I think, in week 8 or week 9. I forget what it is. So they can even go another week without playing him. In week 7, we won't talk about that right now, but they could do that if they really wanted to. But they have to activate him by week 8 for sure. They have to activate him. But he's out this game. He's frothing at the mouth. He wants to play. Dan Campbell saying that the O-line literally hates him right now because he's a man on fire. We could have used him this week, but they're saving him. Running back Sione Vaikai, groin injury, no practice. He is out as well too. So and then we had some kind of late additions to the out label or status. Left tackle Taylor Decker with a shoulder. He did not practice on Friday. He was questionable going into Friday. Then Saturday, he's labeled out now. And then DB, Avonte Maddox, kind of a versatile DB, can play some corner, some safety, some nickel, whatever you want him to play. Hamstring, I believe he has a problem with. No practice on Friday. He was questionable, but he is now labeled out in this football game as well. And then another late addition, offensive tackle Giovanni Manu with the knee injury. No practice on Friday. He was questionable going to this game. He's on IR now. Now he's on IR, so he's missing 4 games. I probably should do a whole other video on this, but I don't believe that he's legitimately hurt. I don't. I think this kid is not ready. This kid is a project still. Now I'm probably going to get a lot of I have been getting backlash from this. Giovanni Manu is not a good offensive tackle. He's not. Okay? He's a project. He really is. He was kind of thrown into the mix, playing left tackle against the Bengals. People want to say it was a great team to go up against to do it. Team-wise, sure, but he got abused in that football game. He was decent in run blocking, okay? He was good in run blocking. He got abused in pass blocking. He's slow. He has terrible feet. His hands are not there. He almost got Goff killed 3 or 4 times. He really did. Goff got hit very hard in that football game, and a lot of it was Giovanni Manu. Now, I'm not blaming the whole thing on Manu, okay? Because Goff came unscathed. He was good. He's a tough kid. Goff is a tough kid for how he looks. You know what I mean? He's very skinny. He's a skinny kid. He takes hits, and he doesn't get injured. Knock on wood. But Giovanni Manu almost got him killed a couple of times. And I don't believe Giovanni Manu was hurt. Now, you can come at me all you want. It's just my thoughts on it. They had to do a lot of roster moves, and we'll talk about this, and they had to do some things, they had to do some shuffling around. And I believe that Giovanni Manu just kind of just took the bullet. I truly believe it. Not because I don't like the kid, okay? I didn't like the pick. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm rooting for the kid to succeed, but he is a project. And if it wasn't for Jamarco Jones going down, honestly, Jamarco Jones went down in the preseason, I think he would have been our backup left tackle or backup tackle altogether, right or left. Skipper going down too as well, and he's probably going to play this week. Skipper's going to start because Decker's not playing. So, and they like this Devin Cochran kid too as well. So that's that. So it's just, he's a project. I don't think he's really hurt. I'm just my opinion, and it's a business decision. That's all it is. So come at me if you want, but I'm just letting you know. Now, strong safety, Brian Branch, ankle. He did not practice on Friday. He is questionable going to this football game as well. And then you have Kirby Joseph, a free safety with a knee injury, who's been kind of banged up since the beginning of the season. Even in training camp, he got a little bit banged up. No practice. He's questionable as well. And we'll talk about those two guys. Wide receiver Khalif Raymond, neck injury. He's limited practice. He's questionable as well. And then wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown with a wrist. He was a full practice on Friday. No injury designation. So he's a go-to for sure. But a long list of injuries, guys, especially in the secondary. The defense is getting banged up again. Offense seems pretty good. You know what I mean? Amon-Ra, Decker. Okay. Decker not playing. Amon-Ra playing. So we got some issues going on with injuries again. We can't have anything nice in Detroit. It's just bizarre. Now let's talk about these roster moves that I'm talking about. This is why I think Giovanni Manu is not particularly hurt. I don't think he is. I honestly don't think he is. Business decision. So roster moves. Offensive tackle Manu on IR, just talked about it. They waived offensive lineman Kingsley Aguakin and D lineman Chris Smith. Kingsley Aguakin was basically our backup center at one point and playing some guard too as well. Defensive lineman Chris Smith was kind of like a practice squad guy, has been activated a few times in his career. Depth, very deep depth, okay? So they waived him and they waived Kingsley Aguakin. Now those guys could come back. I don't know if maybe they're even back on the team. Now they signed safety Eric Hallett, who can play some nickel cornerback as well too, because they were experimenting with him during the preseason and training camp, and he was actually looking good, versatile. He was actually looking good at safety, nickel, some outside. They were doing some things with him. So they signed him to the 53. And defensive lineman Quinton Jefferson, a guy they picked up a couple weeks ago. A big defensive end, can probably kick inside, get some pressure, play the run. We'll see what they do with him. I don't know if he'll even get any playing time, but he's a guy that can maybe get some pressure as a big D end. He's a big defensive end. And cornerback Nick Whiteside. This is a guy that was showing out in practice preseason. Was playing pretty well. They let him go. He was out there. He came back to they brought him back to the practice squad, I think a few weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer. I'm not 100% sure. But this is a guy that had some success in the AFL. I think it's called the AFL. I don't know who he played for. I want to say the St. Louis Battlehawks, but I could be wrong. But it's a guy that was kind of showing out a little bit in that league, and then came here and was showing out a little bit here, but they released him, brought him back to the practice squad whenever. Now he's on the active roster from the practice squad. So all those guys, Hallett, Jefferson, and Whiteside, 3 defensive players, guys. Two DBs, 2 secondary guys, and 1 D lineman. Okay, so those guys. And then elevated again, cornerback Arthur Mollett, a guy that they signed that's got some familiarity with Dan Campbell being back in New Orleans. He's a guy that's kind of bounced around. He's kind of like, they kind of say he's in the same kind of mold as Amik Robertson. He's older. He's an older guy, 30, 31 years old. Bounced around the league a little bit. He's fiery. He's feisty. He got elevated to the 53 or to the active inactive list. So is he playing today? We'll see. And then they activated again Devin Cochran, the offensive tackle from the practice squad too as well. So I think that's a guy they really like. Devin Cochran, or it would be Giovanni Manu. Maybe Manu is hurt. I could be completely wrong on this. It's just my feeling that he's just not ready, man. He's not ready to be a starter for sure, and he's probably not ready to be a backup. He's just not. That's just what it is. He's not that good, guys. He's just not that good. The pick was bizarre. Those guys know way more than I do, but I just don't think the pick was a good pick. I don't. Now, I'm not going to say he's a bust, but they did exhaust some draft picks to get this guy. I mean, he was a fourth-round pick. They had to exhaust some draft picks to trade up to get him or trade down, whatever they did. They had to trade to get this guy. They traded some picks away to get him. And it's year 2. I'm not saying anything year 2 because I'm not going to label a guy a bust after 1 or 2 years. But year 3 is when this guy's really going to need to pick up, or he's going to get slaughtered in social media or by this fan base. It's just a fact. I hope the best for him, but we got Devin Cochran up. They like something in this guy. So that's that. That was a very long injury list talk. So Chiefs, they're pretty clean coming into this football game. They got guys that are hurt but are playing. Okay, quarterback Patrick Mahomes is one of them with a groin injury. Full practice on Friday, no injury designation. Running back Kareem Hunt, calf, full practice Friday, no injury designation. Wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown, ankle injury, full practice, no injury designation. Wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, knee, full practice, no injury designation. Wide receiver Xavier Worthy, shoulder and ankle, full practice, no injury designation. He just came back. Offensive tackle Jawan Taylor. That's the guy that was literally petrified of Aiden Hutchinson a couple years back, if you remember that. He was snapping. He was going off sides all the time before the snap count, going back and into his stance. He was even lining up way back off the line of scrimmage, no call. It was a very bizarre situation for that, and they barely called him. They were barely called it. And it was like they called it maybe once, maybe twice in that football game, but he had 4 or 5, even more offsides, and they just would not call it. Kansas City Chiefs treatment, and we'll talk about that too. So he's got a knee injury, but he's full practice. He's going. Defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott, shoulder, full practice, no injury designation. Defensive end Charles Omenihu, ankle, full practice, no injury designation. Linebacker Jeffrey Bossa, the rookie, knee, full practice, no injury designation. Linebacker Nick Bolton, he's a good one. Calf injury, full practice, no injury designation. And cornerback Christian Fulton with an ankle, full practice, no injury designation. So they got guys playing. They got guys banged up, just like everybody else does, but they got guys all coming back. Everyone's playing, all playing. That injury list is playing. So now let's get to the rosters really quick. Lions offense. Quarterback Jared Goff. You guys know all about Goff. He's having an MVP year, but not being talked about as an MVP. Leads the league in touchdowns, I believe, too. Maybe even yards. Touchdowns for sure, though. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jacob Sailors. Looks like he's taking over that number 3. So, and then you got 4 as Craig Reynolds. Wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Khalif Raymond. Hopefully he's playing. He's a little bit banged up. And then rookie Isaac Tesla, who kind of filled in nicely for him last week. We need Khalif on special teams, though. Tight end Sam Laporta, Brock Wright. Left tackle, I had Decker here, but it's probably going to be Dan Skipper starting at left tackle. That's what it's probably going to be. I trust him more than I trust Giovanni Manu or Devin Cochran. Dan Skipper is no superstar at left tackle. He's not even great. There's a possibility he might not even be that good, but I think he's decent and he's a little bit more stable. I think he's in for a tough one though, but we'll talk about that too, especially if the big fella, the big Greek, is on him, Karlaftis. Left guard Christian Mahogany, center Graham Glasgow. I believe now Tristan Colin is probably going to be the backup center here. So I don't know if he's been activated, how many games he has addressed, but he's probably going to be our center for now, unless they brought back Kingsley. Don't know. The right guard, rookie Tate Ratledge, having a great season. Then right tackle Penei Sewell, anchoring that right tackle, all pro. Now defensively, defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, who's having a comeback year. Nose tackle DJ Reader, Roy Lopez kind of hanging out there too. Defensive tackle, rookie Tyleek Williams, Tyler Lacey, kind of back and forth with the defensive end spot. And defensive end Al Quadda Muhammad. You got some Pat Connor in there as well. Will linebacker Alex Anzalone, Grant Stewart, Middle linebacker Jack Campbell, Sam linebacker Derek Barnes, Trevor Nowoski, who's having, I think, a decent year as a backup, getting some snaps. And then cornerback, this is where it gets really dicey, guys. I can flip a coin on what's going to happen here because who knows what's going to go out there with the starting four. Okay, cornerback Rock Ya-Sin is probably starting because Arnold is out. Okay, who looked decent so far this year. Veteran kid. Strong safety Brian Branch. He's a game time decision. And then free safety Kirby Joseph. Now, if those guys don't play, Lauren Strickland and probably Thomas Harper are your starting safeties. God help us, okay? If that's the case, God help us. But I'm pretty almost sure that these guys are going to play. I'm a little bit worried about Joseph because he, for sure, Branch I think will play. But if these guys don't play, you're going to see some Strickland, some Thomas Harper in there, and you're going to see all kinds of guys in there, man. You might see Eric Hallett. Who knows who you can see in there. Now, other corner is a Meek Robertson who's been moved pretty much from the slot to nickel. I mean, from the nickel to the starting outside. So your guess is as good as mine what's going on as well for the nickel. Do they move a Meek Robertson back to the nickel? Nick Whiteside, does he play some outside? Does he play nickel? Eric Hallett, like I talked about. Trey Flowers, who they brought in a couple weeks ago. You're going to see a couple of these guys out there. It's going to look like a brand new secondary, especially if Branch and Kirby Joseph don't play. It's going to look like preseason. You're just not going to know who these guys are. So that's what really scares me about this football game, especially facing a guy like Patrick Mahomes. So that's that. And then kicker Jake Bates, Jack Fox, the punter. Now the Chiefs offense. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Gardner Minshew's the backup, which I forgot about that. Gamer, I've always loved Minshew. I always thought the Lions should have grabbed him. A little bit more of an expensive backup, but I've always liked Minshew. Then running back Isaiah Pacheco, a hard runner. Hasn't scored a touchdown this year, though, running the football, which is bizarre. And then Kareem Hunt, who's I think leads the team in touchdowns. He's a kind of the inside presence. He's the hammer a little bit. They got two hammers, really. Pacheco's not really a burner, but he can move. But Hunt's got 2 or 3 touchdowns. Then wide receivers, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton is a guy that I like who can really go deep. And then Juju Smith-Schuster. I think they got 4 capable, really solid wide receivers. No superstars here, but guys that can get the job done. Then tight end, Travis Kelce, who's having a decent year. Not the year he probably wanted. But he's having a good year. He's getting in the end zone a couple times. He's still a threat. Then offensive line, left tackle, rookie Josh Simmons. Left guard, Kingsley Suamataia. I think that's the guy that's related to Penei Sewell. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the guy that's related to him. Center, Creed Humphrey, one of the best in the business. Right guard, Trey Smith. And then right tackle, Jawan Taylor. You got some issues there a little bit at O-line. Humphrey's the man, but, Jawan Taylor, the rookie left tackle, Josh Simmons, it's not a great O-line. Got some good players there, but they got some issues there just a bit. But, you see Mahomes running around a little bit too much. But still, it's Mahomes. He gets the job done. Now, defensive end, George Karlaftis, who's a stud defensive end. Defensive tackle, Chris Jones, future Hall of Famer. Defensive tackle, Omar Norman Lott. Then you see Derek Noddy in there, too, as well. Mike Dana, defensive end, believe that was a Michigan guy, go blue. I think he was a Michigan guy. Will linebacker, Drew Tranquil, who I like. He can rush the passer. He's got 2 or 3 sacks on the season at the linebacker spot. Middle linebacker, Nick Bolton, who I like a lot. Sam linebacker, Leo Chanel, another decent linebacker. And then cornerback, Jalen Watson. And then strong safety, Jaden Hicks. Free safety, Brian Cook. Cornerback, Trent McDuffie, who can make some plays. I like him. And then nickel, Chamari Connor. So, I like this defense. We're going to talk about their defense a little bit, too, when we talk about team stats. But they got some guys. Karlaftis, Jones, Tranquil, Bolton. They got some guys that can make plays over there. They kind of been going after each other, though, this Kansas City Chiefs team. If you watch a couple games, Kelsey has been getting in people's faces. Drew Tranquil and Chris Jones had a little altercation. So things aren't really rosy in Kansas City like they used to be. Is the team falling apart? I don't really think they're falling apart, but it's not as crisp as it used to be. So and then kicker Harrison Bucker, who's a good one, and they got a punter, Matt Areza. Now let's go to the team stats, and this is really interesting. Okay, offense, Lions first. Total yards 372.8 yards, 7th in the NFL. Passing 230.2, 12th in the NFL. Rushing yards 134.8, 7th in the NFL. Points 34.8 for the Lions. That's number 1 in the NFL. Number 1 offense again, guys, by the way, for points anyways. Then third down percentage is a little low. It's very low, actually. They're only converting third downs into first downs at 39.3%. It's 20th in the NFL, so that's pretty low. That's low for them. They got to get that up. Now the Chiefs, okay, total yards 371.4, tied for 8th. Passing 241, 9th in the NFL, top 10. They rush for 120 yards a game, 12th in the NFL. Points, they're scoring 25 points a game, tied for 12th. The third down percentages turning thirds into first downs are at a 41.5% clip. That's tied for 11th. That's better than the Lions. So they still have a great offense. You got Patrick Mahomes, you still have a great offense. So but bottom line, it's still good. Then defensive, we go to the Lions first. Total yards, 321.2 yards against. That's 10th in the NFL. Passing, they're giving up 206.2. That's 12th in the NFL. They're giving up 92.2 yards rushing at 7th. It's a good run defense. Points, they're giving up 22.4. So that's 16 points. That went up a little bit when that last game when those garbage touchdowns came from Cincinnati. And then the third down percentages getting off the field, stopping thirds into first. They're at 40.7%, tied for 19th. That's a little bit too low. So total yards for the defense for the Chiefs, 323.2 yards total. That's 11th. Passing, they're giving up only 190.6. That's 7th. Rushing, you can run on these guys a little bit. 123.4, 21 points. The puppy going off. Points, 21.4 points against. Tied for 13th. Bubba, 21.4 points against. That's tied for 13th. And third down percentages, stopping the thirds from converting it to first downs. They're at a 37.5% clip, which is pretty decent, which is good. Tied for 12th, much better than the Lions. So it's still a good football team. They're just not getting it together. I don't know if they're just maybe not as good as they used to be, but they're just not getting it together like they're not winning ball games because of it. But they still have a good offense and they still have a good defense. So your guess is as good as mine what's going on. We'll see. But they are having some bickering going on. Maybe that's the problem. Now let's talk the offensive versus the defensive side of the ball. I'll put our offense against anybody. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. This is a good defense in Kansas City, though. They do well against the pass. You can run on these guys. So run the football against the Chiefs. Play action just like we always do. And you just gotta find your guys. They haven't even found a rhythm for JMO yet. Just wait until they do. JMO's doing all the things you want him to do except producing at a high level. They're getting a lot of money. Okay? He's getting paid a lot of money, Jameson Williams. He's not out there complaining about not getting enough targets. He had a couple drops a couple games ago. We know what he is. He's electric with the football in his hand. You got to get him the ball a little bit more. But it's not really... I remember they asked St. Brown, they're like, what do you guys need to do? What do you guys need to do before, you guys seem like you're not rolling just yet. Like you're not rolling. Now, I think that was a little bit of a question at St. Brown on JMO. I really think it was. And the offense hasn't been stellar the last couple of weeks, even though they're number one in points. They're doing everything that they should be doing. Amon Ra had a great response. He was like, since we're scoring the most points in the NFL and our yards are up there and we can run the ball, we were throwing the ball well, Goff's doing this. He's like, I don't see what we need to really be doing. He's like, what else do we need to do? It was kind of a smart ass answer, but I loved it. I loved it from St. Brown. Just think about it. When JMO gets rolling, this offense is going to be unstoppable. They already kind of are. They pretty much are right now. Okay? They are. And when they get JMO going, teams are not even going to know what to do. They're really not. And J-Mo's doing his thing. He's blocking his ass off. He's opening up the field for St. Brown, Laporta, whoever, like in those mid-level tiers that we talk about with football. It's like short, mid, long. He's opening up all kinds of stuff, and he's not complaining, which I love. He's not pulling the A.J. Brown. He's not pulling any of that stuff. He's not pulling it. He's not a diva. He's just happy to be playing football. He could very well be making all kinds of noise, and he's not. I love that about the kid. He'll get the ball. He's gonna get the ball. Okay? It's just that it's not really a necessity right now. And I'm not making excuses. It's just we're not struggling over it. So when St. Brown says, what do we need to do? Like, what do you mean? Like, we're not rolling. We're pretty good offensively. I think we are. And they are. So you run the ball on the Chiefs, you open up the play action, you open up the passing game, you're going to score on them, even though they have a good defense. They do. Karlaftis is good. Tranquil. Chris Jones is a monster on the inside. Not having the year probably that he wants to, but he's still a presence. Okay, and Karlaftis is a presence as well. He can get to the quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see who he lines up against. It won't be Sewell all day. It'll be Dan Skipper probably a lot. You know what I mean? I think he's mainly their left defense. What am I going to say here? This defense. He's mainly their right defensive end. Mainly George Karlaftis. So that means he's going to be facing against the left tackle. Dan Skipper's in for a treat. Dan Skipper's in for a day. They're going to need to help him. Running back chips, tight end chips, helping out, guard shifting over. It's just going to have to go like that. And then running backs, tight ends filling into the guard lanes to try to slow down whoever's coming inside. You know what I mean? So they're going to really have to help out Skipper. It's just what it is. You can leave Sewell on an island. You can leave him on an island. You can. You got to help him sometimes, but that's a guy you're comfortable leaving on an island. And then that Chiefs offense, okay? You still got Patrick Mahomes. You still got Travis Kelce. You got 3 wide receivers that can run a 4-3. Like 3 of them can at least. Hollywood Brown, he's a little bit older vet, but he can still move. Xavier Worthy is probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest, wide receivers in the NFL. I think that's the kid that broke the 40-yard record, wasn't it? A couple years ago. And then you got Tyquan Thornton, a former second-round pick from the New England Patriots, who didn't really pan out there, who can motor. Okay, then you got Juju Smith, who's more of a possession guy. So you got 3 guys that can burn, and the defensive secondary petrifies me right now because you got guys shuffling everywhere. Rock Ya-Sin starting, Amik Robertson starting on the outside. I trust those 2 guys. I do. Not fully. I trust Robertson a little more than Ya-Sin. Ya-Sin has played well, though. He's played pretty good. There's some things that he needs to clean up, but he's a guy that's been around for a bit. Can't tell him how to play corner. And then just like if we're losing guys like Branch and Joseph anytime during this football game, or if they don't start, then that really concerns me as well. But I'm going to assume that those 2 guys are playing. Okay, but we might be seeing a lot of Lawrence Strickland, some Thomas Harper in there, some Eric Hallett playing in there, Trey Flowers, Nick Whiteside. It's a mixed bag. Who knows who's starting where and who's going to get more snaps? So that concerns me. The defensive line needs to get to Mahomes. They need to get to him. Get in his face, knock him around. He's got a little bit of a groin injury going on, so he's not going to be, I think, running around like he used to. So you hit him. You hit him in the mouth, and you got to be really careful here with Mahomes because he is the golden boy. He is the face of the NFL still, pretty much. He really is. If you want to say Josh Allen, you want to say Lamar Jackson, you want to say those guys, that's okay. Lamar Jackson being hurt, though, I think that's kind of going away, at least this year. Josh Allen's still doing Josh Allen things, but Patrick Mahomes, with a couple rings under his belt, he's a good guy off the field. He does everything right the right way. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, guys. I don't. You guys have known that since I've started this channel. But, and I'm going to say but here, it's a light but a little bit. I do believe that teams and or players are coddled, even coaches. I do believe that. I do believe sometimes a ref will turn his head on certain calls, especially on Mahomes. If he gets brushed a little bit, if he gets kind of brushed up high on the shoulder, they're going to call a head. They're going to call a headshot. They're going to miss a tug by a guy like Trent McDuffie, because he plays on the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs. If he's on like an Amon-Ra St. Brown or JMO, if he's on a JMO doesn't get calls. You know what I mean? Amon-Ra might get him now because he's an All-Pro, but I do believe that. I do believe teams and or players get coddled, get protected. I do believe that. And not every play, but sometimes you see that. And the Chiefs are 2-3. Does the NFL really want to see this team go 2-4? You know what I mean? So we're playing against the refs a little bit here. We really are. We got to play a clean game against this Kansas City Chiefs. Don't go up high. No late hits. No throwing a guy down. No stupid penalties. Be really careful with this football team. That's all I'm going to say, because don't give them a reason. Don't give them a reason. Don't make it close. It's hard to say because football is a crazy sport. It's a total reaction sport. It's heat of the moment. It's at the time. A hand could be up. You don't even realize you got a hand up, and you're trying to knock down a pass, and it just comes back down and hits Mahomes in the head. That's a penalty no matter what. But even if it's close, they're gonna call it, man, because he's the golden boy of the NFL. And I just don't want to sound like a paranoid conspiracy theorist, because I'm completely against it, but I do believe in stuff like that teams get coddled and teams get protected sometimes. I've seen it with my own eyes playing games, and I don't play in the NFL, so I've actually seen it. I've actually seen it with my own two eyes, where just phantom calls being made, and calls that were obvious penalties, no flags. I've seen it. Even teams I've played for, I know for us, helping us, it's happened. I've seen it. Playing on really good football teams at AKO, like my whole life, my whole 4 or 5 year career at AKO, we were a great football team coming out of Ontario. We were a phenomenal football team, and there were some calls that we were like, oh shit, that's a hold. That's a hold on Johnny. Then my boy Frego, that's a hold on him. Nothing, no call. Or I come in late on somebody, maybe hit somebody a little bit too high. I played linebacker, no call. I wasn't a dirty player, but there was times where you just do it. You hit. And sometimes it's a little late, sometimes it's a little high, and then no call. I'm looking around for a flag, nothing. And there's no way, you missed that call. There's just no way. So it does happen. It does really happen to really good football teams and to good players. It does. Especially in the NFL. It just does, man. It's a business. It's a money business. It's not rigged or anything like that, but it is the business. Okay? I'll leave it at that. But my prediction, this is what Branch and Kirby plan. Okay? I'm going to assume these guys are playing. I think it's going to be high scoring. I don't know what the spread's 2.5. I don't know what the over-under is. I don't know what the over-under is on the total points. I'm sure it's high. I'm going to say 33-31 Detroit Lions. That's my prediction. A lot of scoring, 60, what is that, 36, 64 points right there. So I'm sure bet the over on the points. So I don't know what the points are, but I'm sure it's in the 50s. I have a feeling it's probably in the 50s. That's it, guys. Okay, Detroit Lions, let's go to 5-1. We have a really tough stretch coming up. This is a massive game. Sunday Night Football, guys. If you're looking for it right now at 1 o'clock, it ain't coming. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in Canada. It is Canadian Thanksgiving. We're eating all kinds of good food today. Lebanese food, ham. We're doing it up, guys. So we love it. So I appreciate it, guys. Football all day. There's a game on right now, Jets and the Broncos. It's a snoozer, but it's a defensive game going on. Last time I checked, it was 10-9 going into the third quarter, so I don't even know what happened there. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving to Canada. Be safe, everybody out there. No drinking and driving. If you're gonna call an Uber, call a cab, call a buddy. Make sure he ain't drunk either. So have a good time, guys. Have a good time in Canada. Happy Thanksgiving. And if you're celebrating in America, because you got Canadians over there, happy Thanksgiving to my fellow Americans too. Canadian side though, guys. Okay, so Awesome, guys. Lions, grit, hunting season. Boom. Let's go. Lions. Whoop. Bam.